kind of amazing. It's from January 20th, 2011, which I think puts you in your late 30s, mid to late 30s. Right. Okay, so you're a younger man. This is from the Vice President of the United States, Joe Biden, to you personally, and it's personalized here at the bottom. Devon Acher, Rosemont Seneca Partners, that was your partnership with Hunter Biden in Georgetown. Dear Devon, I apologize for not getting a chance to talk to you at the luncheon yesterday. I was having trouble getting away from hosting President Hu Jintao, who was running China at that point. I hope I get a chance to see you again soon with Hunter. I hope you enjoyed lunch. Thanks for coming. Sincerely, Joseph R. Biden Jr. P.S. Handwritten, happy you guys are together. So there are many levels here. But here's the Vice President of the United States saying to you, a man in his mid-30s, who's not a government official, I'm sorry I was occupied with the guy who runs the world's largest country. I would much rather talk to you and thank you. What was he thanking you for?
Well, first of all, it's a lovely letter, and it was...
It's quite enthusiastic. It's a little weird, though, right?
Yeah, well, it was kind of the beginning of our partnership, and he was thanking me and thanking Hunter, I think, at the end of the day, for bringing this idea of this government regulatory strategic advisory business into the private equity world. And I think he was excited about the prospects for Hunter, and he was just thanking me. I think it was a nice gesture.
It was a nice, for sure. For sure. Very polite. It gets a 10 on the etiquette scale, but he's a vice president of the United States, and he's talking about foreign business deals with you and thanking you for that.
I think, again, it goes back to my earlier point I think I hit the jackpot in finding the regulatory environment or company that can navigate right to the top. But, obviously, as time was told, being a little bit too close to the sun ends up burning you.
For sure. And it did you, and you suffered greatly for it. And this is not a criticism of you. I would think as a business guy, you use every advantage. These are not business guys. This is the Vice President of the United States. He's not allowed to be working on businesses with foreign governments while he's Vice President, I don't think.
Not that I know of.
But here he is!
Right.
Amazing.
So there you have it. You just saw what the New York Post is calling the letter of the lie. It's now absolutely clear, as Miranda Devine puts it, that Joe Biden, as vice president, was indeed deeply involved in Hunter's illicit business dealings. The bombshell revelation, of course, comes from the testimony of Hunter's former business partner, Devon Acher, who exposed the connection between Biden and his son's controversial business ventures in his bombshell testimony. Acher indicates that Joe Biden was well aware of Hunter's business activities and had frequent interactions with his son's business associates, which of course contradicts Joe's repeated denials to the contrary.
Never discussed with my son or my brother or anyone else anything having to do with their businesses, period.
Hey, you see this water bottle? Stick around and I'll tell you how it helped me get a huge check after my car accident. I was stopped at a red light when I got rear-ended by a big rig truck. The distracted truck driver was too busy looking for his water bottle to pay attention to what was right in front of him. Me. The whiplash was so violent it injured my spine. The truck driver's insurance didn't take my injury seriously. I needed help fighting them, so I contacted Find Legal. They can
businesses, period. I did anything wrong. And I didn't realize he was on the board till after he'd been on the board. And at the same time, he has come forward and said it was a mistake on his part to be on the board. I don't know what he was doing. I know he was on the board. I found out he was on the board after he was on the board, and that was it.
The fact is, I was unaware of his investments until those occurred, and I've never discussed my son's business with him because I didn't want any conflict.
I don't discuss business with my son. I didn't know that was the case. I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings. I've never discussed my business or their business, my sons or daughters, and I've never discussed them.
So as you can plainly see, I mean, despite the desperate attempts by the legacy media to gaslight this, there really is a radical discrepancy between what Biden repeatedly denied he did and what Devon Acher testified under oath that he did, with solid evidence to boot. According to Acher, Joe Biden played a crucial role as what he called the brand of his family's business. He was used as a signal of power, access, and influence during business meetings, whether they were in person or on speakerphone. Simply put, this access to the Vice President of the United States attracted foreign business associates who showered Hunter with millions of dollars and lavish gifts. According to Acher, there were numerous instances when Joe Biden's presence and influence were used during business dealings. There were dinners at prestigious establishments in Washington, D.C., attended by Hunter's benefactors from Ukraine, Russia, and China. There were breakfasts at the vice presidential residence in D.C. There were meetings between Hunter and potential investors in China during one of Biden's official visits as vice president. And the key to all of this is that, frankly, regardless of what was actually talked about, Joe Biden's presence in all of these meetings, either in person or by phone, was a powerful signal of access to the heart of DC's power that was in turn leveraged into profits from foreign investors. And while all of that is utterly corrupt and immoral, it's how those profits translated into policy that's the real treasonous crime in all of this. But first, gang, there's another corruption that we need to deal with. When was the last time you thought about where the money you paid your phone bill? This is the Ukrainian special prosecutor named Viktor Shokin. While Biden was vice president, Shokin was investigating the corrupt Ukrainian energy company called Burisma. Around that time, Burisma hired Joe's son, Hunter, to their board and paid him $83,000 a month for access to his father, who again was vice president at the time. According to Devon Acher's testimony, Burisma executives continuously pressured Hunter to get his vice president dad to step in and stop the Ukrainian prosecutor's investigation. It was at that point, according to the testimony of a Ukrainian executive at Burisma, that the Bidens coerced him into paying them $10 million, $5 million each, to get the special prosecutor off their case. It was then that Joe Biden, in one of his visits to Ukraine, did this.
I remember going over convincing our team, or others too, convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid at the time. Well,
here's what happened according to the Ukrainian prosecutor himself.
Yes, said Shokin. That's what he told me. He came to me and said, you are a patriot of Ukraine. We need this $1 billion. We're at war, and if you are a patriot, you will close this case. My conversation with Poroshenko on this, Shokin says, was in a phone call. It was after we started seizing Burisma assets in Ukraine when Poroshenko called me and said, listen, this all has to stop already. Joe Biden's temper is overflowing. This seizing of Burisma assets, said Poroshenko, was the last straw. Shokin says Poroshenko then paid him a visit in his office, asking for Shokin's resignation. Shokin responded and asked, why do I have to go? I haven't done anything wrong. I'm doing my job. This is standard procedure. We have reason to freeze Burisma assets. And Poroshenko said, Biden is angry about you freezing Burisma assets. I'll figure something out.